Welcome to Chilltime with Jose. I am your host today, Jose, and we've got you, guys, a special episode today. I haven't uploaded the caster one from last week, but a bit of an update from the caster drama. Kieran has been steps down in the end, like by a relog. It's kind of obvious given the fact that he was threatening employees and literally taking money off the top. And Richard released an interesting article about him as well, where like literally he was like this. Apparently, there's a real big scumbag in the scene. Oh, 2 seconds, guys. Okay, cool. But like, he was a real scumbag in the scene. I'll just get the article up now to really talk about it. I'm trying to find Dexerto. But like, yeah, like, you know, if you read through it, well, it's not exactly the most thing apart of it, but we'll just go through it now here in the caster. Thank you for the sub. So basically what happened is that Kieran Cullinan, i.e. Vortex owner or ex-Vortex owner, and you guys may have heard this before with, you know, Pro No CSGO, stuff like that. You guys would have heard of this last week. I talked about it extensively last week, where it's like, I'm going to say it's a bit of both sides. Like, casters going to know what they're worth, and sometimes casters got to realize that they have absolutely no leverage sometimes, and they got to weigh up their own business themselves as a freelancer. And other times I do agree that some casters really should be paid more money, and talent such as well, not talent, but talent manager such as Kieran shouldn't be you know, manipulating people. I do not believe that is him, by the way, but it should not be, you know, manipulating people, taking money off the top, and like, you know, basically intimidating and threatening lower casters that, you know, they'll never get exposure if they're not under him. Now so basically what happened afterwards is that, you know, they're basically saying that, hey, you go about this, we, you know, might fire you, blah blah blah. And like, this is the you know, this is illegal in America, obviously, and there's also still protections in the EU. There's also same protections in Australia as well, so you can't do it in Australia. So they put it in US dollars, so $14.91. That's above minimum wage in some states in America. 41, that's below most minimum wages in the states if a game goes for 3 hours. And the playoffs, which is above minimum wage. Now, so basically, Machine chipped in. Machine got $200 working ESEA UK. And by the way, ESEA UK is a lower standard of play. Like, if you're talking about Snowsuit Sports up here. And, oh, fucking hell, man. Get rid of these ads. And ESEA UK is down here, okay? And not to mention, it's 2014 as well. So the tier of CSGO wouldn't have been that high to begin with. Like, you know, ESEA UK back then would have been a lot worse. Now, this is what WSG, and this is, Tom Pickering got ripped off here by WSG for casting, yet he was paid $1,035 US, okay, for $25 per beer one back in 2016 on the C stream, and they said they were getting undercut, and they're right. Like, look at here, $300 for beer free. They were getting paid $25 a game, you know. And also, not to mention, like, you know, yeah, it was basically $25, you know, a game, basically. And yeah, you know, basically, you know, a lot of people talking about this as well. And, you know, you can see now that the casters in Snow Sweet Snow are getting a bit of a raw deal because they're getting paid less. And yeah, so basically, a lot of people talked about it. And that's pretty much it, you know, pretty much on the rest of the article with Dexerto. This is not Richard Lewis' piece, actually. Where is it? I Google Richard Lewis and Dexerto and I don't get what I want. Where is it? There we go. I finally got the right article, okay? But yeah, so basically what they're doing, like Richard's talking about being a, you know, mini celebrities and stuff like that. And I can tell you now, some casters do think like this, okay? They think they're mini celebrities because they cast. And one of the Me Too movements as well in the esports arena involved a Dota 2 caster who thought it was a mini celebrity and thought he could get with any girl he wants, basically. And he popped up as well. He also got, you know, taken off the air, obviously. And, you know, you get, you know, do interviews with good people and stuff like that and earning $1,000 per appearance. But yeah. And so the most common pitfalls facing players are now well documented. The last few years, you know, associations, blah, blah, blah. Was talked about a lesser degree is broadcasting talent. And dude, this is a huge one as well. This is actually never ever fucking talked about. Like how aspiring broadcast talent are meant to do things here. And they're always young, professional outs of a niche interest and decide to turn a hobby into a career. Probably not me. Way down the line of the first producer, the whole industry sprung up on exploiting these hopes, and most people get away with it, waving their hands, some guff about exposure and margins to business back to normal. This is super fucking true, okay? Like, I can tell you now, super fucking true in the industry. Where, like, people like, you know, oh, you get your exposure, you get $30, you know, a BO free, but you get exposure as a caster, which is all bullshit, because when you start casting on your own channel, streaming on your own channel, if you're not in the tier 1 scene and, like, have a cult following in the tier 1 scene, you're not magically going to get viewers out of nothing, okay? Like, dude, man, like, okay, I want to give you an example. Like, there's a lot of casters who've gone on to streaming now, where if they're not talking about their CSGO or StarCraft 2, or whatever it is, their main game, World of Warcraft, whatever it is, they're not getting, like, 200 to 300 viewers, because people only care about the caster casting the CSGO. They do not care about the caster casting their own personal content. That brand between the caster and the broadcast and a caster by himself is completely and utterly different. Now, as you can see with Semler, same thing. Like, Semler off camera is different to him on the broadcast. Sponge off camera is probably different to him on the broadcast as well. And those two brands are completely separate. So, you know, this is what this exposure argument says. But what the exposure is basically the company has exposure, and you're just some talking head they've hired, basically. I mean, look at the audience, for example. Like, if you do a good cast, like, will they remember you? Like, you know, will they remember you at all? Like, that's the thing. Like, you know, you got to realize that with some of these exposure arguments, like, if you're a new caster coming into the scene, have you actually made a brand for yourself at all? You know? Good morning, Noobage. I was watching Blast, what did I miss? No, nothing much. We're just talking about the old stories. So down here is that the average people doesn't think about the content as put in front of them. Much you don't think about a chicken nugget if you're about to put it in your mouth. When they watch the smaller tournaments and more societal, it's only natural. So such, you know, blah, blah, blah. Essentially, an esports camera operator is something being paid a few dollars in a day, and honestly, one day they might end up talking over the game. Then there are commentators' names you've never heard of being pelted with insults by the way of Twitch chat as they try to hone their craft, if they're paying it all piss. This is so fucking true, okay? Like, seriously, some of the shit I've been getting from Twitch chat is fucking amazing. Wait, Davey's casting? To be fair, though, Davey is a pretty decent analyst. Haven't seen all the time, yeah, no shit. And I just banned them. And then they ask why they get banned in other casters' chats. So it's like, dude, you talk shit, you get hit. Like, do you think I'm like a fucking punching bag or some shit? And yeah, basically what happened, this is talking about grid, obviously. Why it's an easier to pick up those margins. They want the opportunity to get noticed, so they lack the leverage for higher pay. As long as the tournament runs smoothly and on time, sponsors don't care, so why should the organizers? So this is the point here, is that when the casters aren't being paid that much, organizers don't give a shit. Sponsors don't give a shit, okay? As long as the tournaments run fine, essentially. G'day, Ross, what's up? I know Collingwood are losing, by the way. But anyway. That was a field of view? Really? Either way. You mean this? This is for grid. But anyways, I don't know why this ad comes up. I gotta, like, get rid of these ads. But yeah, so pretty much Snow Sweet Snow, 100k prize pool, and they are paying fuck all for the casters, okay? And yeah. Now, so let's do a community discussion on Reddit. To be fair, there's not much discussion at all. Oh, astronomy photo. Yeah, it's a grid. Many percent of the hourly wage in the country. People pointed out that capacity wasn't necessarily fair. Grid only has one cast per match. I guess have two. I don't know what's up with that, because they're paying them a lot more. And I'm going to tell you now, they probably budgeted a lot less on the casting material. So they're probably doing, like, they're probably giving the caster who's casting it probably $70 now for a BO free rather than €35. And yeah, or people just not working for them, essentially. I haven't been approached by Relog at all. Like, I haven't been approached by Relog at all. Even though I've emailed them twice, haven't been approached by them at all. And yeah, people pointed out they weren't fair, and then basically talent manager of Great Esports. So you're gonna hear, you know, you're gonna hear a lot of things about this guy. Okay, this guy, I used to compete with him against the ESEA Premier, and every fucking story I keep hearing about him gets fucking progressively worse and worse. And he got like super. This is Richard. Yes, this is Richard Lewis's article. He got super jealous of another caster as well, and it gets essentially worse and worse and worse. And yeah, so basically, he says stuff like that. Spelt the name incorrectly. Should be sharing wages. And yeah, so practically, Radco, who I've emailed as well, sent an internal email saying that, hey, casting team, blah, blah, blah. We acknowledge that your Kira is under pressure time to do response. Yeah, and that he will no longer be working in a talent-facing capacity, and but he'll continue at Grid Esports. I have no idea how he's still working at Grid Esports after this. Like, if you guys want to know, like, about Kieran, like, I've only been here for a year and a half, so I haven't seen it really face to face. But holy shit, he is literally a snake oil salesman, from what I've heard. So basically, his entire sports career is essential power fantasy, all to ease profile by anyone with either experience in cynicism, like me. He's embarrassingly small time, but esports has taught me it is best to check those people early before they fail upwards and their petty power just becomes serious abuses. Prior to being hired by Grid, he was inspired broadcasting out, but being able to dupe other contestants and thinking he could represent them as an agent. He created an unregistered old boy and tournament a little more than it's in reality called Vortex Entertainment. That is a bit of a yikes. Not to mention this and this. You can't be unregistered, by the way. If you guys want to know, you can't be unregistered. He would get a contest and essentially offer their service along with his own to other TOs. In his esports space, he would negotiate status with Shoutcast and then unbiased now he would take a cut off the top of each of their fees and keep it for himself. Like, holy shit. Yeah, Kieran's the one that created Vortex. He's the one that went off with me for like switching ESEA Premier like 10 minutes before a match where I'm not even listed on HLTV. A fair cut of an agent's work. Perhaps an agent should tell you they are taking it though. Also, as well, I'm going to say now, €10, an agent taking more than 50% of your fee, Devin Nash can tell you that's a fucking daylight robbery, okay? If you're getting paid €50, taking over 20%, which he is daylight robbery if he's not providing you anything. And yeah, in addition to showing invoice chat logs or blah blah blah, requesting fee from the companies he interacted with, sometimes money would just vanish due to incompetence. One commentator called Protalis, who had nothing but negative experiences with this, represented by Kieran. He shows receipts, offering €60 per series, and decided to reduce my rate to 50 after 2 days. Which made it look like I was trying to overcharge relog, and then I expect my pay cut to €50 for a best of 3, or I wasn't getting paid. And he didn't even apologize for it. Jesus Christ. Even when commentators found out about his sticky fingers, but he just shrugged and said that they had this by design, that he would seek out specific commentators with little profile, desperate for paying work, because he knew that they were easy to manipulate. When bringing them into the fold, he promised them high profile paid work and also claimed to have connections with Wikipedia. I'm going to tell you now, I have more connections with Wikipedia than he probably does, okay? Because I know M and Z, okay? Like, I could get his little doggos to put me in a page if I wanted to, but I don't really care. So typical copy pasted off the with something like this. I've seen you casted, blah blah blah. I've actually had this, by the way. I've actually been sent this as a whisper by someone from representing Vortex, and I said, nah, don't need you guys. That's literally what I said, okay? That is literally what I said. I'm like, nah, I'll just cast on my own platform. Because I'm sitting there going like, dude, I've got MBN. I can cast 1080p. What are you guys going to provide me that I don't already have? This is when I was already casting ESEA Premier. It's like, what do you guys have that I already can't get? Like, you're going to tell me getting 3K viewers is what I want? Dude, all I want is just a happy chat, subscribers, brands, stuff like that. Like, I just said no. So yeah, anyways, let's just go with that. In hard cuts for finding a captain for his company Vortex, he'll pay you $5. Jeez. And yes, 100%. And yeah, So this is Protalis talking, by the way. And yeah, it's personally responsible for exposing any such person calling itself CSGO matches. Yeah, basically, it's Fred and Strong Legs here, by the way. And it was in contact with the person behind it at the time. Oh, jeez. It's even worse, by the way. Nothing good kind of agree, kind of part of income. So it came to pass that Cullen's organization would eventually have the partnership from ESEA removed. Yes, this happened. I was there when I saw Vortex get kicked out by Misty. And I'm going to say now, I'm not sure what happened, but Misty I'm not sure if Misty talked about it, actually. We weren't happy knowing the details how he ran his business, but we were in a position to boot them fully as a partner platform. without community backlash. So we use the strike policy that was in place. His broadcast would not follow our guidelines, would provide KPI for the broadcast, even the broadcast over top of ESEA coverage multiple times. I'm going to say in my time I was there, he did it twice. And there was talks in the relevant discords. I know that he's done it twice. This, I'm not too sure because the KPIs were, or actually I'm not talking about the KPIs, not too sure about this one because I only just did my own. Let's be honest. I just went in there, did my own, that's it. And I'm not sure about this guideline stuff, okay? I'm not sure that's between ESEA and Kieran. But like with the ESEA coverage, definitely twice in my time he ran over it, and I know he ran over it as well. And ESEA TV was if you looked at the schedule, like the hidden schedule master sheet that we have at ESEA, you would have clearly seen it, okay? Because I monitor that thing like a hawk, and if you paid any attention to it, you would see what ESEA were covering. Now, basically, almost each one was financially vulnerable. This is why I didn't really take it up. At the end of the day, come around against the only thing after the year, I need to pay bills, blah, blah. This is like casters in general that aren't me or don't have a full-time job. And, a lot of people used to be picked because, wouldn't complain about rates trying to be a good caster. I am not sure who said this, and I think this is pretty bad, pretty bad take. Like, don't worry about the fact that you took shit rates. It happens to the best of us. It doesn't mean you don't have the potential to be a good caster, okay? Like, whoever said that, don't think of yourself like that, okay? Like, you have a potential to be a great caster. Even though this person may have picked you up because of this, it doesn't mean you don't have this, okay? Don't say that about yourselves. It's not going to help you out. And yeah, basically all been deleted. Kieran will be sells by sacrifice. Wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, because he's like the main man. Like, he's guilty. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's overlooked by ESEA ordinance, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to tell you now, is that I have no idea how he got employed by Relog, considering a lot of the talent, at least 80% of the talent, know the stories about what happened with Kieran. They had stories basically about Kieran. And in fact, Mac blasted him once because Mac tweeted about it. He blasted him really, really hard for what he was doing. So, and nobody really had a positive thing. We're talking about the caster controversy for Snow Sweet Snow. Basically, as far as I know, that Kieran's been sacked or moved to another role, and that's pretty much it, as far as I know. And yeah, as Richard calls it, Tier 2 and Tier 3 CS is quite a viper's nest, like of, talent trying to beat other talent. And it's kind of the thing, he talked about it to Scrawny as well. And Scrawny said, it's not that bad, but, as long as you don't treat it like a viper's nest, it's alright. But anyways, let's just get out of here. That's pretty much it with the caster story. It's just highlighting really with Richard is that, well, some people are scummy, okay? And I only really just touched on my experiences, okay? Like, my experiences with Kieran was very neutral and not very, like, the only biffo we had was just really him trying to get me busted for playing classic WoW, 10 minutes before and stuff like that, before switching to ESEA Premier. And I'm going to say that's mainly because if you think I'm someone when I thought that you get HLTV viewers when you're on 0 viewers on CSGO, because I basically what happened after that, I was like, to Raza, which is the HLTV dude that I go to 100%, good guy, and I'm like, do I appear on HLTV? And he's like, nah, you don't. When you play WoW, you don't. And I'm like, okay, so this is stupid then, because I'm playing a completely different game and I never appear in the first place. But anyways, let's get back to the ESEA AU review. Okay, so we'll start with AU first. And, well, I'll tell you one thing, okay? The AU season had some really, really great teams. Put some really impressive results out there. And some teams were just utter shite, okay? Nah, not really. Just kidding. That's harsh terms. But a lot of the teams overall, I felt overall the league was very, very competitive, even between the lower teams. But there's a few teams that disappointed me. But let's get to the first team, Direwolves. Direwolves expected to even get first and second spot. They did very, very good given the fact that APOC left. Basically, they turned over 2 players in the lineup and picked up stars Licky and Savage. And also then APOC left the lineup, leaving them with Soju. So basically, Direwolves had a core change, but they still had, some pieces of the puzzle, being Sterling and Hazard. Hazard being one of their best riflers, and Sterling, of course, being an amazing AWPer, of course. And in the end, getting second place, I'm going to say, given the fact that they didn't have, APOC, Osnu, and all those players that they had in the previous season, I would say this is pretty much an improvement getting second place. They didn't have all the players they wanted, to have. They did go over a new roster. Then they also changed orgs as well. They went from Avant to Dire Wolves because Dire Wolves picked them up. Bought out Avant. And that's pretty much it. You can check the notes here. The notes basically say Avant pick up these two, and then bam, 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 and then bam, bam, bam. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Order, they put Vexite in. I just can't believe how well this team fit together with Vexite coming in after losing Alistair. That team is just a well-ordered machine. Arguably, they did have a pretty easy group in Group A, given the fact that another team, Rooster, did not shoot off at all. And Order just got a quick 8-0 in the BO freeze. And I don't think they even dropped a single map, by the way. And I've got to feel like Order had a very easy group there. But they got the business done at the end of the day. Okay? At the end of the day, you may have an easy group, but you can only really verse in what's ahead of you. Let's be real. You can only verse what's ahead of you. And Order just did the business. They got it done. And, really good team. I really enjoyed how good Vexite was, Valiance was. Ricky as well, being the main AWPer now. He fit, of course, he's going to fit into that role perfectly because he's been with a lot of top teams before. And the IGL Jira, he did a very good job as well. And I've got to say, this team is looking quite good so far. Vexite can only go up. Ustilo and Ricky getting, to the tail end, but they're still priming up as well. So, yeah. Oh, Louis, don't say that, man. Anyways, next up we got the Chiefs. I gotta say, a bit disappointed in the Chiefs at stages, but overall, it was just teething issues, to be honest. Teething issues, because they did lose a lot of players and they had to bring Cube back. A lot of turnover of the roster, and the only people being left over is being APOC Dud and Yam, the coach and the main AWPer, and basically they added also Zeph as well. And they also added Hugh back to the roster from Dire Wolves. And then they added Gump and Val. And now they've added two young talent that, they're just going to put in their system. This team had a lot of teaming issues. And they didn't look that good at the start of the season. And that, kind of got a bit worse. with losing to Paradox and stuff like that, okay? Losing to Paradox, that didn't happen at all, which is kind of sucks. Anyways, so with the Chiefs, a bit upset about that, to be honest. I expected a bit more from the Chiefs. In the end, they got third place in the end. They only lost to Dire Wolves and Paradox. To be fair though, Chiefs expect a bit more. And I think I will get a bit more as well. I think the Chiefs will beat Vertex, in the playoffs first round. And I think the Chiefs will probably get at least top 4 or top 2 at least. I reckon they might win, might be in the grand finals, or it might be top 4. Bit disappointed, but overall, what can you do when basically you lose Vexite and you lose a few players as well, and you get Gump and Val? What time does the codename game end? I don't think I'm not playing any codenames today, actually. Codenames is not that popular as it used to be, actually. Next up's going to be Vertex. Vertex got second place, and Vertex actually did really well, given the fact they lost a lot of players. They lost Tenzai, they lost Soju, they lost Roffelko early on due to ESEA. And, they had Addict, PZ, Brace in for a long time, and they picked up Uwombat and KO as well. KO being a super sub in that roster. Now, in the end, as you can see here, basically, Vertex had to play with Soju at some point, and Soju got picked off from Vertex by the Pointy Wolf team, okay? Normal Wolf, Pointy Wolf. And overall, I feel like Vertex did a really good job getting second place. I don't think Vertex would have thought of achieving first place in the end, because Vertex, well, they would have to take on Order, and they lost 2-0 to Order, and I think they got double digits on one of the maps. I think it was on Vertigo, I think it was 16-10. And yeah, unfortunately, Vertex, they got second place, but it's a real big improvement from Vertex. They were definitely the solid second team in that division. They had a bit of a almost a slip up against Simplicity. They won 2-1, but they really lost a map that they should have won. And, next let's go Paradox. Paradox had an amazing season. Even though they lost their coach and brought in Zerts, they had an amazing season. Badonka, Cool had an amazing season himself. He actually stamped his authority on the game. He had multiple BO3s where he was the main attraction. and Starry for Paradox. To be fair for Paradox, their roster really didn't change with the addition of Verza back into the roster. Verza had been in Paradox before he left it. I think it was it Avant or Chiefs? I'm not sure. And I think it was Avant actually before Verza, didn't succeed his trial with Avant. And Herbs, Equal, Bedonka, and same like with Danger as well. They played exceptionally well to get this first place here. Next up is going to be the most disappointing review I'm going to have to do today, okay? Rooster had a team of self-inflicted injuries, okay? Self-inflicted injuries. You lost 2 of your players to ESEA. Okay, that's fine. Then you lose another player to showing a fake ID to ESEA for a year. Then you lose a player permanently for abusing admins in ESL Australia NZ. And now you're probably going to lose your ESEA Premier spot because you're not eligible. What the hell is going on? Like, seriously, like, you guys have been helped so much by people in the community giving you guys, like, extra chances and stuff like this. And you shoot yourselves in the foot multiple times like this. I mean, come on, man. Like, seriously, there's no victimhood in this anymore. Like, all these things have been self-inflicted, okay? It's been inflicted by yourselves and stuff like that. And by, by inability to be, like, decent and civil with people. Like, I don't know what you're implying. Like, you implied, like, an ESL admin was a pedo, apparently. Like, for asking you guys to have webcams for the broadcast talent, for the broadcast event. Like, dude, it's not because they think you're cheating. It's because they want to add content to the fucking cast. Because they want to see what, players are doing and players are having fun with and stuff like that. Like, this is just a season of self-inflicted injuries for Rooster. And, Rooster, they might not be eligible for ESEA Premier next year, potentially. Like, you got players serving bans and, it gets even worse. And, like, you guys should have been second, maybe first, if you could beat Order. But, sheesh, you're battling for a 4th position between Simplicity and Dynasty. Not exactly where you want to be at all, okay? And it's all 100% Rooster fault, okay? There's no one else, okay? 100% Rooster fault. If you can't take that responsibility, then you're going to realize that you're going to be battling relegation in the next few weeks, okay? Or next few weeks, but next season. Because all self-inflicted... And that's pretty much it. You can't you can't point a finger at anyone else now other than yourself, okay? Maybe the ESEA people can appeal it, but that's it. Like, it's 100%. The last 2 people who got banned, it's 100% on them, okay? And that's pretty much it. You guys should probably know better than to abuse people or to submit fake ID to events. I mean, don't be like, oh, they entrapped us into it. They didn't. You guys submitted the fake ID. You could have just said, I don't want to do it today, okay? Don't want to do it, Anyways, right? These guys improved a lot, and I'm going to say, this is the most interesting roster move, even though Shockwave's not going to be playing with them anymore. They picked up the ex-Mako roster spot with Calamari and Shockwave, which is the most craziest thing, because Mako picked up the Riot. No, someone else picked up the ex-Riot Gaming finger. I'm trying to think who it was, but it was just out there, man, like how the slots ended up in the end. It was a team that picked up Mako's spot. It was really interesting, okay? But anyways, I gotta say, Fiends team did really good. They made playoffs this season, I believe. Let me just see. They made playoffs. Yeah, they got 4th. Arguably so just over Animal Squad. And I think they probably be very, very happy with that they made playoffs, in 4th spot and stuff like that. Why would he do that? Well, apparently, according to his tweet, apparently he abused an admin, so... Don't even know, no idea. The ASAP situation, ASAP shouldn't have submitted his ID. ASAP should be like, I'm too young for this event, see you later. That's pretty much it. Never submit a fake ID. You're just asking for trouble. Right. Great team. 2D being picked up. A Fiend, Cheeseball, Calamari. They're going to put Omari in as a roster as well. It was a bit, for Riot, it's a bit unfortunate. They've been trying to get a roster, but they had to play with Shockwave as well. Even though Shockwave was a very, very handy player, it's just they never had a solid 5 because they had to switch people out and keep Shockwave in the game before they could even switch out to the normal roster. As you guys seen on ESL ANZ, well, that sort of thing. Like, basically the Riot game roster is a lot different. And they also escaped 16-14 yesterday as well. Now, next one's going to be Simplicity. I think in the online era of CSGO right now, don't all teams have to have a camera on them to make sure they're not cheating, scripting, or whatever? Yes, they do in the pro CSGO scene. They do. And in the, let's see. But yeah, I guess so. Like, you know, they guess so. But like, seriously, like, if they had issues getting webcams, like, ESEA would have probably given them like $30 webcams at worst, man. Like, I'm seeing a lot of these teams, like, you know, who else? Like, there's a lot of like smaller teams who are able to get, you know, webcams. I mean, I'm trying to find out where Swanky G is actually, because like he had a webcam. Like a lot of these players had webcams, like that are like in tiny teams that are unorged, so it shouldn't be that hard to get a webcam. I think ESL gives green screens. Yeah, they do. They do. Like it shouldn't be too hard. Okay. Next up, Simplicity. They did very good too. I think they are in relegation. They did all right. Okay, like at the start of the season, they played very, very poorly. But towards the end of the season, they played very, very well. They lost 2 players due to ESEA bans. Also, MSN retired. And also, Aftermind left. And basically, they picked up Mez, Rizza, Mez, and TJP. I think they had Andrew P in the roster for a bit, but they replaced him. And I gotta say, with Simplicity, they did pretty well. Like, they did pretty well considering that. I had them on the favorites to be relegated in the end. Like, not direct relegation, but to be relegated, like, in that battle. And, you know, like, they got 4 wins in the end. They got 4 wins and 4 losses. They go into relegation because of the head-to-head against who was it? Dynasty. Huh? Who's Droid? I have no idea who he is. But anyway, let's get to the next one. I'm not sure to make on this roster. This roster kept getting beaten over and over again. And then they never came back, okay? I know Smooth Criminal and Pred played it for a bit, but this roster, all I'm going to say is that that's it. Like, I don't expect this roster to do anything. They didn't. They got 2-0'd by every team. And I don't think they even won a game before they all just quit. Did they win a game in the end? No, they did win. Oh, yeah, they got a forfeit win against Mako. But realistically, that team did probably nothing of note. Gonna be blatantly honest. Like, there's probably no 19 that wasn't going to do anything. And exactly that's what they did. Bit disappointing with caught off guard. But to be fair, though, they were placed in a group with a lot of good teams. Like, a lot of good up-and-coming teams. Being, you know, Silix and Dynasty. Like, very, very, very good up-and-coming teams. And they got caught. They beat Rooster. And I thought, hey, they beat Rooster, you know. Like, they beat Rooster. A very, very good team. After losing to them 4v5 last season. And I was like, oh, caught off guard might make playoffs this season. They beat Rooster. And then Caught Off Guard got, like, slammed by a lot of inconsistencies. Like, they were very inconsistent in results. And they got punished a lot because of that. Because of the inconsistency. Like, they realistically should have beaten either Simplicity or Silix, as far as I know. And I believe they lost to both after beating Rooster. Yeah, they lost to both Simplicity, Silix, and Dynasty. And realistically, they only beat Rooster as their main BO3 win. And, you know, like, if you can beat Rooster, like, Silix, Dynasty, and Simplicity should be a bit easier there. And I feel Caught Off Guard really let it slip, obviously. They got caught off guard. I expect a bit better after they beat Rooster. But sometimes, like, you know, sometimes the up-and-coming teams do, you know, fight back and they do snap people and they do, like, you know, beat known teams here. And I think Caught Off Guard's one of those teams. Caught Off Guard's being in relegations as well. And yeah, really weird. Only played like 1 game as far as I know. And then Val and Choose left, so that effectively killed a team, essentially. Mako, what happened is that KO and Bogeyman both left. Bogeyman not having any time for the game anymore, and a lot of players just quit overall. So Bo, Big Heath and stuff like that, and Josh and Adama, they just quit the season, and Mako disbanded effectively like a month later. So that was the old team Fenrir, okay? That, you know, that were very, very convincing getting in here. Silix, I've got to say, is they're the team that I've been most proud of, actually, coming into this. They've got 3rd in the playoffs. You know, 3rd in the playoffs. They beat a lot of really good teams. And they also stuck it to order as well. Like, they really stuck it to order. I mean, they beat Caught Off Guard 2-0. They beat Dynasty 2-0. They did win some forfeits against, you know, Rooster and the really weird. But, like, realistically, they did impress. They did have that shock loss against Simplicity, which I'm going to tell you now, they really should have lost that. But Simplicity were on the mark. TJP was insane. And overall, they did really, really, really well, you know? Like, they did incredibly well. They lost to Order. They were the only team to take Order to potentially 10 rounds on Nuke. And they had a really good CT side on Nuke. Now, Dynasty. Dynasty were really, really good. Like, Dynasty were insanely good. Coming in from 5th to 6th in relegation, you probably don't expect a team coming from 5th to 6th of relegation to make any sort of impact, okay? Let's just be real, guys, okay? Like, you expect that team that comes in the bottom half of fucking, like, relegation to just go back down, okay? And as you guys can see here, like, Dynasty almost made playoffs. Like, Dynasty almost made playoffs. And, you know, I'm not sure what ESEA is going to do, but if ESEA decide to be like, oh, sorry, Rooster, we want teams with full 5 players, Dynasty could be in the playoffs pretty much. And it'll be a good first season for them. Dynasty, though, they did lose some key games, and probably the most biggest key game was against Silix, of course. They did actually almost take down Rooster as well, you know, 2-1. Like, a team like Rooster, they should smash them 2-0. So I think Dynasty had a pretty good season this season. Ninja, I believe they fell apart in the end, right? They replaced Integral Nation due to they couldn't field a squad, and pretty much this is what you're gonna expect for a team in 5th and 6th place of relegation. They just go back down instantly. I gotta say with Animal Squad's a very interesting lineup. Even though they lost Moop and Kyson, they replaced them with, you know, I believe it was APOC and Downfall fell apart obviously, so this is Downfall spot. But they replaced them with some really, really good players. You know, Mizu, APOC, Raz, Sai, Buster. This team was actually really, really good. Like, really, really good to watch. Bit unfortunate, though, that they got stuck in a... Like, they're going to be 5th in the end, obviously, so they stay up. But unfortunately, they were stuck in a really, really tough group. Like, let's be real. They were stuck with Paradox, Direwolves, Chiefs. As I said earlier in the season, the battle's going to be for 4th place, okay? Like, I even said that. That battle is going to be for 4th place. Like, it was not going to be for any other spot. Also, by the way, Simplicity should survive. Like, I don't think Chip and Mineo are going to do their 12th place match, so Simplicity should stay in the ESEA Premier. But here's what the finals look like so far. I'm not terribly sure what's going to go on with this final with Rooster v Paradox. I think Paradox can get a first round bye, given that Rooster can't field a team. Or they might play in spite of Badonka. Like, I'm aware that Paradox, Badonka, and a few other guys in there do not like Rooster. Chiefs v Vertex, I gotta say now, I gotta feel sorry for the Vertex because they're gonna get a baptism of fire, but not as bad as a baptism of fire from Silix and Riots are going to get from Direwolves and Order, respectively. Because, you know, it's probably gonna be, most likely, it's gonna be probably Silix v Riot in the lower bracket, and Vertex v Rooster, and Rooster, oh no, actually, no, it's gonna be Vertex v, I'm trying to think who would verse who, actually, in this, but in the end, overall, I feel like the season was pretty meh for ESEA Premier AU, with a lot of, you know, players getting banned just before the season started, and also at the same time, a lot of teams disbanding. You know, there's about 5 dead teams, excluding the original Mako and Ground Zero, all deciding not to field teams because, of course, like, I reckon half of them have gone to Valorant, in my opinion. And, you know, 35 of the players getting banned meant that, you know, we really didn't have the best of the AU CSGO scene active. Now, that also killed a lot of teams as well, because that also killed Bazaar, because, not Kyson, it was, Reckons got banned. And, you know, it really didn't help at all, unfortunately. Next up, we're going to go to EU scene. EU scene, which I casted 1 game for in the end, which is, interesting. And, yeah, so pretty much we got AGO, Sprout, 2 teams I casted, by the way. Sword was like Hellraisers, Nexus, Forze, Amiga, Alternate Attacks, Pact, Apex, Team Gamer Legion, Fate, Windstrike, LDLC, Anonymous, Singularity, Sangal. Let's go with Group A. Windstrike, probably, I'm going to say Windstrike first of all. I never thought Windstrike would get top of the group, okay? I was like saying with Windstrike, hey, you may stay in, you may be 5th, you know? They're just following the footsteps that the top advanced team gets straight. Oh, no, sorry, not top advanced team. They're following the finger that one of the top advanced teams, the top relegation teams, get into the top bracket. Now, Saw, I expected them to be 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. You know, they're definitely a good enough franchise. You got Apex there as well. I kind of expected Apex to probably be being relegated, given the fact that they mixed 2 teams together. But in the end, you know, Apex actually made it work, you know, with Relax, Freddy Frog, and Craze to keep 6-2, which is playoffs position. You know, they only brought in Dennis and Grusan from their other team because they're playing with the main lineup in other tournaments, which is really, really good. Gsl, they got 4th again. This time, at least, Gsl didn't get screwed from their head-to-head. So, yeah. Forze, they keep safe. I thought Forze would get into the playoffs this season. Gamer Legion, they're probably right where I expected them to be. Like, pre-relegation. They'll be versing alternate attacks, and that's going to be probably interesting BO3. Hellraisers, disappointed. I thought Hellraisers were going to top the group. They picked up a Narquez, and that didn't end up well at all, and they're going to be sent to relegation. Fates, well, I'm going to say they're probably exactly where I expected Apex to be or Winstrike to be. And I'm going to say now they're going to be doing pre-demotion. The team that loses is that, just between them and Pact. And I'm going to say I think Fate are going to be relegated. I think Pact should do enough to get back in the end. And last but not least, Team Singularity. I'm not surprised to see him here. They weren't strong enough last season and literally got given a lifeline to get back into the league with Team Secret disbanding. That's that sort of thing. And, they didn't use that lifeline to the maximum that they could have. To be fair, though, it was really the same lineup. Larson coming in from Movistar, SMF coming from Team Secret, Iceberg from the Ocean roster, so as Notan as well. And also they lost their coach, I'm trying to think of their coach, actually. But, realistically, they were going to get relegated. Okay, I can be honest, they're going to get relegated. Now, let's go to Group B. Sprout, as expected, top of the group. Nemiga and Anonymous. Nemiga did surprise me that they were 6-2 in the end, but Nemiga have been very consistent over the BO3s. Anonymous is probably the biggest surprise I've had. Okay, I didn't expect Anonymous to be even in the playoffs. I expected them to be where Pact is actually. AGO, they got 4th again. AGO played exceptionally well to get that 4th position as well by picking up Snatchy, Roland, and having a really, really good lineup. LDLC, they actually performed above expectations. Above expectations. I didn't expect them to even get 5th. They picked up the right players, Maka and stuff like that. LDLC with Maka and Lambert, Hadji, 6 KOs, and they did really good with Ozstrike as the coach. Alternate attacks, yeah, I kind of expected you guys there, to be honest. You had a really strong group against you, and 6 is probably the best what you get. Sangal again, you guys win advance, and all these teams that in advance in relegation being Anonymo, LDLC, and a lot of these teams that were in advance finishing above you, that's not really a good look, and you're going to be basically just sent to relegation. Next up, you got Pact. Pact should beat Fate and go to relegation. Nexus, well, that's considering they got 8th last season to go 0-8, since to be directly relegated. Just not good enough, I'm going to say. It's not good enough in the end. And as you can see here, Fate v Pact, Game Legion v alternate attacks. And then you can see here the playoffs, which will be done in April sometime at 1 a.m. my time. Now, overall, for the first round, I reckon AGO will win this. This will be actually a really, really hard matchup to predict. This will be super close. A lot of these matchups here, other than Sprout v Gsl, should be super close. I reckon Sprout will win this match. I would say Anonymo will win this. Then I would say Apex will win this, and I would say AGO will win this. I think AGO will upset Winstrike. Very, very close matchups, actually. Next up, we're going to go to NA, and, NA's had a lot of broadcasts, a lot of people on as well, and, of course, Pilsky always being the host. And I've got to say, this NA season, a lot of these teams have been very, very weak, okay? Incredibly, incredibly weak compared to the previous seasons. But, they're making it make do. I mean, the Bad News Bears came back. That's a big plus. Extra Salt came back. Triumph, made a lot of content in the scene. That's good. High Coast as well. They were amazing as well. And also, Secret Club, not so much. Mythic, of course. Timmerman, let's not talk about them ever again. I gotta say, Rebirth and RBG were probably the surprise packets here as well as Recon 5. They were bit of the surprise packet as well. And, of course, unfortunately, Recon 5 lost Cynic. And now they picked up Saturn instead. And as you can see here, there's Droid from Eclipse. I'm not sure if Eclipse did anything in the end. Or no. There's the Commission. I believe the Commission were added to the ESEA Thing League, I believe. Extra Salt is doing really well. Yeah, Extra Salt's doing amazing well. I gotta say, Bad News Bears, the Extra Salt. Let's get to the ladders, okay? This roster isn't as strong as it could be. But hey, it's better than nothing at this point, okay? And then unfortunately, you can see here, Ocean made the ESA Premier just to leave, unfortunately, to Valorant, which kind of sucks. But anyway, bad news bears, expected, 9-0. Extra salt, expected second place. Oceanus did very well this season as well, 6-3. Mythic did really well, 6-3. And, Davey will be very, very happy with that, obviously. Had to play playoffs again. GGPR and Rise, they did pretty good for up-and-coming teams. Also Clips being relegated. Or not relegated, but pre-relegation. SKDC, kind of expected when you're one of those teams here. And then watch this, well, when you're a team on 5th and 6th, you got to play extremely well to get out of it. They do have Jet, who was on Triumph previously, but in the end, it didn't happen. Timbermen, well, let's not talk about them. It was very, very disappointing reading some of the shit that these people said, okay? And they got kicked out of the org, and they got kicked out of ESEA Premier because of it. Now in B still got some games to play, by the way. They've got a few games you can see here. You got Recon 5 taking on, I think it's the Commission. And you got a few other games as well. You actually got the Secret Club's got to play High Coast and Triumph. And Third Impact got to play Rebirth. And there's a lot of these positions that are eventually going to be filled up. So Triumph and High Coast, already qualified for the playoffs, expected from these two teams. RBG should get their qualification shortly, but they're probably waiting on other results because they can be knocked out, ironically enough, based on head-to-heads if another team. Because I think there's another team that haven't played 2 games, and they could knock them out. I'm trying to think who it is. Yeah, it's Secret Club. That's right. Secret Club have 2 games to play, and they can essentially knock RBG out due to, I think they have the, I believe they have the head-to-head advantage, don't they? Or they make it a tiebreak advantage. Yeah, they would make it a tiebreak advantage if Rebirth win. Oh, no, actually, they should be making the playoffs, I feel, because Secret Club lost to Rebirth and Bingo. Oh, to be fair, Recon 5 do have a few games to play as well, and that's probably why they're not safe, because Recon 5 have 2 games to play, and they have the head-to-head ratio over RBG. So yeah, RBG may go down, and I think Rebirth have the... No, they don't. Well, I'm a bit confused here. I guess Recon 5 lost to a few of the teams as well, that's why it's in the air, because of round differential. Yeah, I assume so. But yeah, overall, a lot of these teams did a really, good work. This Group B was probably the hardest group to predict, because they've got a lot of good teams in here, being Rebirth, RBG, Recon 5, Secret Club. And basically the bottom 4 teams were never going to get out of that bottom 4, okay? David said, I don't know, maybe wrong, but definitely they can make the major. I don't know how, this is a while back, but he said that. I'm not totally too sure, but I feel like I say mathematically, it's possible, not probable, okay? That kind of thing. But overall, let's just go down the teams as well. Triumph and High Coast as expected. RBG as expected. Rebirth coming in, I believe, from the previous season, not getting the playoffs. They did really well. Recon 5 coming back into the fold. 5th and 6th will be probably good results for these 2 teams. Recon 5 and Secret Club. Secret Club, even though they came third last time, given the quality of teams that were returning, I didn't think they would get, to the upper finish that time. And also, not to mention, they turned over half their roster mid-season due to little arguments, as witnessed by twice from Recon 5. So he even tweeted about it as well. Levitate will go to relegation, unfortunately, or pre-relegation. We'll go to relegation. Imperium and Commission, I'm going to say now, basically, Commission win, Imperium go down, and if Commission lose, they go down in advance. And to be fair, though, Commission's just basically like Maui, Snake, and a few others. I think there's a lot of old top tier players, which let's be kind of real, that they might not be, let's just say they might not be, what I'm going to say here. They might not be the team that, you're going to expect to make through relegation. They just slap together a team to make up that spot in the end and to make it competitive. And also, Maui Snake wanted to play against a few players as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it with the review of ESEA. Maui Snake and a bunch of players that never play advanced. Yeah, pretty much it's a thrown together team. I'm not saying, that the players are bad or anything like that. I'm saying I'm not expecting that much compared to the other teams in the group, Like, a lot of those players haven't played Premier. Beer Freeze could be news to them as well. They have got maybe they haven't played together as a team. Like most of them was just, mix and match. So I kind of expect them to be near the bottom, because a lot of the teams that, above them, like, being Triumph, High Coast, RBG, Rebirth, Recon 5, Secret Club, Third Impact, Levitate, they've been together for quite a bit, like, these teams. So Like, you can't really expect too much when, like, your team's just made up from, Maui Snake leading his guys over. No real big, hitters and stuff like that. You can't really expect much when you don't have the, the ingredients in the first place. But overall, if they make it to pre-demotion, that'll be good enough, That'll be good enough. And if they can make it back into ESA Premier, that'll be even better. Next up, we got this, okay? We're going to go to the news here. And we're going to have the ESA Pro League launches a player council. And I'm not terribly too sure what this is meant to do, given that we have CISPA. So I'm not sure if ESL basically saying that CISPA are useless or something, or whatever. But I'm not terribly too sure about this, okay? Like, they reconvene 4 times a year to discuss the league. So it could just be like an avenue to talk to ESL. But I'm not totally too sure why like ESL have to design this when we have a advocacy group already called CISPA. Okay, it's made of a mix of active players and coaches from the 12 teams. I know Jason Moses is one of them. He presides over it. And essentially, details basically say, it just puts a line of communication between the union and ESL. I'm not totally too sure. I can agree with Jason here that I'm cautiously optimistic that we can improve current conditions and the growth of the ecosystem. So we got it here as well, the 12 people who are in it, which is going to be Dupree, Apex, Blade, Moses, Nexa, Kater, Carrigan, Mifar, Zeus, Hampus, Samuelson, and Doto. Samuelson's the coach, by the way. I'm not totally too sure what it is. ESL also launched one of these proposals if a team wants to be in. And yeah, so I'm not totally too sure about this. I'm not too sure if it's like a vote of no confidence in CISPA, or is ESL trying to make a direct line to CISPA. I know ESL have done this a lot in the past, where they've launched like, integrity organizations and stuff like that to get more people with players involved so they can be told what the issues are before the issues blow them up in their face. So I'm not sure what ESL are, going with here. Like, I'm going to be real here, and I'm not sure what ESL are going with here. But yeah, we'll see what happens in the end. Based on respects, I don't think ESL trusts CISPA anymore. Yeah, that's what I like. There's two things. I think ESL want a communication with CISPA, like, with CISPA, so the players can talk for them and then meet them, once every quarter to see how everything's going. Or they just don't trust CISPA, which I don't blame them, given Flashpoint and the debacle that's gone on there, and how they've literally been doing fuck all for some players in the AU scene and anything for the tier 2 and tier 3 scene. Like, and I think the tier 1 teams, let's just say they've had enough, okay? They've had enough. They want actual work, being done. But that's the thing that piques my interest. I'm not sure what's going on there. There's no hard evidence on why ESL is doing this. I'm going to go with the more positive side, is that ESL want to just create a dialogue between them and CISPA via the players, so the players, can tell the players on the council, be like, oh, talk about this, bring this up and stuff like that. And I hope it's for that reasons. So FunSpark announces a tournament series worth 630,000 prize pool. Gsl Groups, details still scarce. The 2020 is postponed indefinitely because of COVID. I'm assuming it's going to be online. And essentially what's going to be is going to be playoffs, GSL. It's going to be like a whole series. So it's going to be like 1 or 2 series in the playoffs. Another series, playoffs. Kind of like Snow Sweet Snow, okay? And they've also revealed some of the teams that are going to be involved. They revealed this last time, actually, which was like, Sinners, Dignitas, Havu, Hellraisers, K23, LDLC, Movistar. Saw a lot of tier 2 teams, other than probably Sprouts, Ents, AGO, and Windstrike. A lot, I think Ents could be a tier 1 team. I'm not sure how they're going to build around Mad Lions, so given that Mad Lions don't have a roster. Now for Asia is looking very, very thin here. Like, very, very thin. And a lot of these Chinese teams, I believe they may have already gone to Valorant. So, I mean, like, I'm not sure how many players they sought to expect for this kind of tournament from the Asia region. But, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the end. Next up is Nico Joins Og. A lot of people have been speculating for a long time that Nico from Heroic would join OG. And he'd been standing in as well. and he basically is taking over MBK spot. And yeah, pretty much they lost a DreamHack Masters Spring spot to Complexity and Voivoida. That's probably been the biggest upset there, is the Voivoida loss. And yeah, they lost to Funplex Phoenix as well, which, kind of sucks. But yeah, g'day Crayman, what's up? And now with OG, ESEA's being benched. You guys will see that very shortly, that ESEA's being benched as well. And ESEA's been benched. I'm not terribly too sure. I'm assuming with ESEA it's because of the internet connection, because he can't be at the OG facility. And that, kind of sucks, to be honest. I have a simple question. Okay. It really sucks for ESEA, to be honest, because I think ESEA was stuck in Jordan, I believe, and he couldn't actually join OG up in Germany, I think it is. I think OG's in Germany to be with his team. So basically, he was playing online with about like 150, 200 MS. So, what's your opinion of CSGO's Danger Zone? I've never played it. That's my opinion. I couldn't give you an opinion of it. And yeah, so a bit unfortunate for ESEA. And yeah. Whew. So Mad Lions, okay. So Mad Lions are getting a global approach. They have picked up Cuban, the ex-Virtus Pro coach. I am going to say this about I was going to mention that Faceit supports that. I do realize that Faceit do support a lot of things in CSGO, especially in the pug scene, actually. Mad Lions' new squad will be international project with Rajin acting as senior manager and Musarpan acting as assistant coach. They let go of Hooksy, Roy, Sush, and Refresh, and they're trying to build around TMB, which I'm going to tell you now, I have no idea what they're trying to do here, given the fact that their two best riflers, they sold them off, being Sush and Refresh, or Heroic, who just took them with open arms. And Cuban basically said that we don't want to go about piles. We prefer to get rookies and just develop them, but we're willing to have one tier 1 experienced player. And he's thinking of bringing 2 AWPs. Rifles won't be playing one role. He's moved to Golden 5, obviously, with Virtus Pro. And yeah, he also, a lot of stuff he's done here as well. I'm not too sure about this one, to be honest, with Mad Lions. I don't think this little project of theirs is going to bear much fruit. That's my opinion at the moment. Given the fact we haven't really heard anything from them and who they're picking up and stuff like that, I'm just getting a bit worried that, Mad Lions, aren't going to have a squad, first of all, for Flashpoint, but aren't going to have a strong squad to take on a lot of the tier 1 teams. This was actually quite random, actually, that sprouted quite a 6. Just as, the 6 teams were all like, people playing with 6 people were all like slowly going away. Sprout picked up a QB as a 6th player, and I'm not sure what they'll be doing here at all. Like, he's a substitute studying at the moment, and he's going to be joining the boot camp and stuff like that. Given that Dennis actually made a comment about his right arm hurting and stuff like that, it could be potentially to replace Dennis in the future if it gets worse, so that bringing on as a 6th player. And also, if you guys don't know, the Australian fucking CSGO scene showed that some people showed a bunch of idiots by commenting on that, by the way. That I don't want to show a tweet because it gets progressively worse and more provocative with people in that tweet chain altogether. Now, overall, what I'm thinking is potentially that QB could replace Dennis if Dennis's problem does get worse with his hand, because Dennis has been complaining about having, pain shots up the arm with the adrenaline rushing. Now, a surprise to absolutely no one is that Harry is leaving Dignitas. I mean, he was never going to get back in the lineup. Surprised that he just waited to his end of his contract. And yeah, Harry, he can probably go and join a lot of teams, given with his resume of being in Nordovan and Dignitas. Just not terribly too sure where he's going to go, actually. It was pretty bold of him to go to Dignitas, not NIP, sorry, Dignitas. Really bold, given that, they had to replace Exist, I believe, and Get Right. And obviously, he was always going to be replaced by a better rifler because Dignitas was struggling big time. I don't think it was Harry. It was the main reason why Dignitas was struggling big time. I just think they got a roster that was a bit too old. Well, not a bit too old, but just a bit behind when going to CSGO. Okay, just a bit behind the 8 ball. Like, they haven't... Some of them may have not adapted or evolved to the new part of the scene. And do I heavily rely on Holzerk being able to carry that team in the end. And Dynasty, well, they haven't really shown up yet at any big tournaments. Probably a surprise to no one. Project X disbanding. They didn't play very well in advance. They are actually looking at relegation. And they're probably going to forfeit their entire lineup, you know? And yeah, so they're going to be relegated from ESEA Advance. And yeah, that's kind of lost motivation. But yeah, Toxic and Wonderful and the coach are looking for a new one. Surges, Psycho, and Sensei are just leaving basically together to find a different org altogether. Maybe play in a different tournament. Kind of expected. So Extra Salt basically I showed this article yesterday, but they basically, I think Extra Salt lost in the final. No, Extra Salt beat Pain in the final. That's the game I'm trying to get, actually. Project X is a mess in advance. Yeah, they were. Extra Salt won 3-0 against Pain, and this was probably painful to watch because Pain, who cruised through the tournament very incredibly well here, just couldn't get it done against Extra Salt, losing 16-12, 16-13, 16-14. And yeah, that must be just absolute pain to see OCE essentially start over most of your team. And it's just a bit disappointing to see, like, you know, Pain, who've been playing so well, been beasting advanced, been beasting open, and they were beasting around before this as well, just to fall short with, you know, a 3-0 out. Next up is the G2. Okay, this is actually one of the biggest upsets, okay? Is that Spinks, finally the Ents lineup shows up, but Spinks absolutely took the map on in a half and took down G2. And I've got to say, this is a big highlight here for the Ents, is that finally the players that have picked up, you know, being Dha, Spinks, Snappy, and Dutu, are finally performing results. And there's a great rifle in Dha, great rifle in Spinks, and they're just amazing at the moment. Now, last but not least is that VP have an academy team, VP Prodigy. They actually had a Prodigy earlier, but they dropped the lineup due to I think they got stuck in immediate or something like that, and they just dropped the lineup instead. And yeah, so they basically leading a new team here. So basically being Rufire, Bloody K, Result, Cheerful, and Lovic. As a tier one player being Rufire leading it. And there we go here. So we've got Flush as the coach as well. So basically VP Prodigy is launched up again. And yeah, you know, that's going to be it for Chilltime, guys. That's all the news we got on today. And hope you guys enjoyed it, because I definitely enjoyed talking about the reviews and the caster scene and stuff like that. Overall, I gotta say, like, with EU is very, very competitive in its ESEA Premier Season. AU was competitive between the lower teams, just not competitive from the higher teams, because the higher teams had a really easy run through. However, for next season, I'm not terribly too sure, given the fact that the AU scene's been, you know, ripped to shreds because of the ESEA bans and a few other things as well as people leaving to Valorant. I'm not sure how the next teams are going to go that come up from AU Open. And not to mention that AU was actually so close to having an intermediate league, given how many teams had signed up. Anyways, the NA League was actually surprisingly competitive, given the fact that the quality of teams definitely went down with, you know, a lot of teams, a lot of players leaving. And yeah, you know, to Valorant, of course, because, you know, you could get paid 300k for playing a game similar to CSGO, you know? But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for Chilltime today. If you guys enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe with all your friends and family. And anyone who enjoys CSGO, I'm Jose. I'll, you know, like, subscribe, share. You can even follow me on Twitter. You can even watch this live on Twitch right now. And I'll see you guys in... Well, I'll see you guys for the next YouTube video. Peace out. Bye.